From bulky memory sticks running at just a few hundred megahertz to today's ultra-fast modules powering AI, gaming, and 8K editing. This is the full evolution of DDR RAM, explained in just 6 minutes. If you've ever wondered why DDR keeps getting faster, cooler, and more efficient with every generation, or how we reach speeds over 9,500 megahertz today, then stick around. Let's break down DDR1 to DDR5 in the cleanest way possible. DDR1. We start in the year 2000. Computers were shifting from older DDR RAM, and the world needed something faster. Something that could move more data without doubling clock speeds. Enter DDR1, the first double data rate memory. It ran around 2.5 volts, came with 184 pins on desktops, and had a single center notch that made it easy to identify. The big breakthrough? DDR1 could send data twice every clock cycle, once on the rising edge, once on the falling edge. This immediately doubled performance compared to SDR. Typical speeds ranged from 200 to 400 megahertz effective, providing roughly 3.2 gigabytes per second of bandwidth. It powered early PCs built on Intel Pentium 4 and AMD Athlon processors, and modules usually topped out at 1 gigabyte each. By today's standards, DDR1 is slow, hot, and outdated. But it laid the foundation for everything that came next. DDR2. Just 3 years later, in 2003, DDR2 arrived. It wasn't just about clock speed, it focused on efficiency. Voltage dropped from 2.5 volts to 1.8 volts, instantly reducing heat and power usage. Pin count increased to 240 pins, and the notch moved slightly so no one could accidentally plug DDR2 into a DDR1 slot. Speed took a massive leap too, from 400 megahertz up to 1066 megahertz, doubling bandwidth to around 8.5 gigabytes per second. DDR2 introduced a 4-bit prefetch buffer, letting it process more data internally, and supported up to 4 gigabytes per module. This memory powered mid-2000 systems like Intel Core 2 Duo, AMD Phenom, and many everyday office machines. But it had one weakness: higher latency, which sometimes made it feel slower despite the higher speed. Still, DDR2 was cooler, faster, more efficient, and a huge upgrade over DDR1. DDR3. In 2007, DDR3 started taking over, and it changed the game. Voltage dropped again, this time to 1.5 volts, with low-power versions running at 1.35 volts or even 1.25 volts. This made DDR3 ideal for laptops, desktops, and energy-efficient servers. Speeds jumped to a new level, from 800 megahertz to 2,133 megahertz. Boosting bandwidth to over 17 gigabytes per second. Pin count stayed at 240, but the notch moved again to prevent backward compatibility. DDR3 introduced an 8-bit prefetch, doubling what DDR2 could do. Module capacity improved too, up to 16 gigabytes per stick, something gamers and content creators loved. DDR3 powered early Intel Core i3, i5, i7, and popular AMD FX processors. For almost a full decade, DDR3 remained the global standard. Affordable, efficient, and fast enough for most workloads. Even today, many older PCs and budget systems still rely on it. DDR4. By 2014, it was time for another major jump. DDR4 dropped voltage again, down to 1.2 volts, making systems cooler and more power efficient. Pin count increased to 288 pins, and the sticks had a more curved edge, easily recognizable. Speed started around 1600 megahertz, but quickly climbed to 3200 megahertz officially, with high-end modules reaching far beyond that in overclock setups. Bandwidth exceeded 25 gigabytes per second, a huge boost for gaming and professional applications. DDR4 introduced several major improvements. Bank groups for better parallel access. Improved signal routing. Optional ECC for servers. Bigger capacities, up to 128 gigabytes per module. It arrived with Intel Skylake and later became the standard memory for AMD Ryzen systems. For years, DDR4 dominated everything, from gaming PCs to servers to high-end workstations. Even in 2025, DDR4 is still widely used and far from irrelevant. DDR5. Finally, we reached DDR5, launched in 2020 and built for the future of computing. Voltage is now just 1.1 volts, improving efficiency even further. Pin count stays at 288, but the notch moved again, so DDR4 and DDR5 can never be mixed. Base speeds start at a massive 4,800 MHz, and high-end kits now go beyond 9,600 MHz, enabling bandwidth over 38 GB per second per module. DDR5 introduces incredible features. 16-bit prefetch for more data movement. Dual 32-bit subchannels inside every module. On-module power management, PMIC. On-die ECC for reliability. Massive capacities, even 512 GB for servers. It debuted with Intel Alder Lake and AMD Ryzen 7000 processors, and it's built for next-gen gaming, 4K per 8K video editing, AI workflows, high-performance computing. DDR5 is faster, smarter, and more scalable than any memory before it, but still a bit pricier, especially at higher speeds. If you enjoyed this clean, fast explanation, hit like, subscribe, and comment below. Which DDR generation did you start your PC journey with? And what are you running now? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.